a further part of social value is all about sustainability, Loyd. And you know all about that, having worked with the National Grid for a number of years to service and create their systems of charging vehicles, etc., etc. So Loyd runs ElectrAssure, was based in Stevenage, but recently, because of the size of business now, moved to Letchworth, but you're still in Hertfordshire. And, you know, I'd like to introduce Loyd now to talk to us about what sustainability looks like and how we can all get involved at some stage.
Thanks, Andrew. Loyd, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I have 3 slides, you'd be pleased to know. Yes, I'm not going to keep you away from your lunch for too long, but I'll try and introduce ElectrAssure and myself and what we do in the context of the social value agenda of the meeting. So, and also work out how to use the remote control, of which I have no idea whatsoever. But anyway, so I've lived. Sorry. I've lived in. I've lived in Stevenage for close on 40 years now. ElectrAssure. I set up ElectrAssure almost 20 years ago. ElectrAssure is still a family business. My co-director is my son. Our non-exec director is sitting over there, smiling nicely. So we're very much a local business. We turn over this year we'll turn over somewhere over £3 million. We employ engineers. All of those, apart from one of those engineers, all have come through as apprentices within the business. The majority of those have come through from North Harts College. And we actually sponsor our business as electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So we sponsor and support the electric vehicle charging training, education within North Harts College, and we provide hardware and various services to support that. So that's us. Various other elements of that Adrian alluded to. Adrian also made the introduction for us to North Harts College for the sponsorship of the training, so that developed from that point as well. But various other elements of our profile will come out during the presentation. I'm going to stick to the buttons, that's safe. So the context. Transport has become the largest source of CO2 emissions in the UK, and the social impact of that is that CO2 emissions and particulate emissions and the emissions from vehicles are concentrated very much in the more deprived areas of the UK. And ElectrAssure's role in providing sustainable transport is, as I said, is providing electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So what's the answer to reducing emissions from vehicles? Well, electric vehicles are part of the answer, and that's the only part that I'm going to cover in this presentation. But actually, we need to reduce the number of vehicles on the road as well. And there's various other, we need to restrict their access to the centre of towns and cities. But anyway, I'm not going to go on to that because I'm sure that's very contentious. But anyway, but all major fleets in the UK now have EV strategies. They're being driven by legislation, by restrictions of access, by incentives. And one of those changes is that no new internal combustion engine cars and vans will be manufactured after 2030. And the plug-in hybrids, none of those after 2035. So that's forcing a change in behaviour. Very contentious, I know. There's lots of people who like their conventional vehicles, but the momentum is building. But to enable that, electric vehicle charging infrastructure is critical. I was asked in outside there in the preparation for this that are you going to get a hard time because of how poor the charging infrastructure is out there and how unreliable it is? Well, I hope not, because we don't do that. But yes, it's a challenge. But it is lagging behind the sales of vehicles. And it is, and those of you, hands up if you have an EV. Blimey. Wow. Oh. Okay, that's two of us. Well, you look at those 3 bullet points there of 2030. You can't buy any. You can no longer buy new internal combustion engine vehicles, and the transition that has to be made, and that increase. The charging infrastructure in the UK is already under some pressure, and let's assume in 10 years' time we're all going to be driving electric vehicles. That's a massive transition of infrastructure and of our own behaviour. We're in the industry that's trying to enable that, but ElectrAssure is focused on one particular sector, and that's on vehicle fleets, and that's particularly on operational vehicles, so vehicles for engineers, for utilities and others, and it's for to a lesser extent, it's for general fleet vehicles as well. So as I say, it's created a very high growth market in the UK, a very high demand, even though I'm kind of shocked by the small numbers, I have to say. But that's the lowest hands up from any audience I've ever had. It's usually quite low, but that's created a very high growth market. So there are currently something like 42,000 charge points in the ground in the UK. By 2030, there need to be 2.3 million. We focus on fleets, and mainly for a market reason, for a business reason, is that that is because they're the ones that are moving first, because all the pressure is on them. Yes, the services like DPD and others that are delivering parcels in central London, then there's huge pressure from TfL, from legislation, from to force them to go down the electric vehicle route. But what's not so well known is that utilities, for example, and one of our customers in particular, National Grid. So National Grid has a franchise commitment that they will convert their operational vehicles to electric. You can see 60% of the fleet by 2026. Well, when you consider that some of those vehicles that they need to migrate, the electric versions of them don't currently exist, again, that's a huge challenge. But the project that we're delivering for them is 300 sites, 1,500 chargers all across the UK. Another example, NRS Healthcare, they have 30 depots across the UK, but their contract with various NHS trusts has demanded that the services they deliver are delivered using electric vehicles. And so they have an even more aggressive migration strategy. And finally, KLS Amy, Docklands Light Railway. Again, the pressure on them comes from their regulator, from Transport for London. And the vehicles that we're servicing are the engineers' vehicles, that where there are SLAs on the services that they deliver. So, as I'm standing between you and your lunch, that's my third and final slide. I'm more than happy to take any questions, but I'll leave it there.
Let's do that. Yeah. Thank you, Loyd. Okay. Thank you so much, Loyd. Thank you.